bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Less people wanted that than are currently watching our stream.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Ho, 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 everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Mark It Down podcast. My name is St. Nick, joined this week by James Jasanti, back here once again to review AEW Dynamite. This week was Holiday Bash, and it was good. I enjoyed it. We're obviously getting really close to Christmas, hence the hats. And I got a little nervous in the beginning of this episode, James, because I thought it was so close to Christmas that they might be taking things a little slow.
Yeah.
It started slow. It turned out to be an absolute banger of an episode. So let's get right into it. As we started after we saw the Death Riders arrive at the show with a backstage interview with Orange Cassidy and Switchblade Jay White. So Renee starts off by asking them what their focus is on tonight, whether it's the Death Riders or each other. And Switchblade takes point, saying that his focus is on the AEW World Championship. But in order to get to World's End, he's going to need to rely on some people he normally wouldn't, since he doesn't have the Bang Bang Gang backing him up. White says he's willing to rely on Orange, but he is not stupid enough to be relying on Hangman Adam Page, because all Hangman is good for is letting himself and everyone around him down. So the one man that they do not need on this team is Hangman. And as he starts to say his name, Hangman comes bursting through the door behind them, and White switches to, oh my God, it's him, while he's hanging on the road case behind him, really hyping up the fact that Hangman is there. Hangman comes in really hot, screaming at White to shut his mouth, and then says that tonight, Mox is not White's or Orange's. It is the champion is his before he storms away. Switchblade then follows him, yelling, aye, aye, Captain. At least you bought your black jacket, so we'll all be matching tonight. And then we go back to Orange and Renee, and Orange just hangs there for a second and looks at Renee with the most exasperated face I've seen him give in a really long time, and eventually goes and follows his teammates. So interesting way to start the show, James, but I thought it set everything up really well. As we say hello to You Know It, as saying we must be excited about the King of New York coming to town. I'm thrilled that Juan Soto signed with the Mets. Thank you for bringing that back
What
up.
the fuck just happened?
The King of New York.
Okay. Wow. All right.
But James, as for the promo here, like I said, I thought it was a good way to set up the show, but everything that followed it actually made me kind of nervous, considering nothing happened for a good 5 minutes of this episode.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a slow start, and I think that's how they lulled us into a false sense of security, when everything about this episode was pure chaos. All the good parts of it were pure chaos, I should say. I like the dynamic of these three guys who have so little in common having to deal with each other. Jay White is just operating on a different level right now. He's just absolutely hilarious. And we've all been sad, Juice is gone because he needed to get another surgery. One of the Ass Boys is hurt, so both the Ass Boys are off TV right now. It's been lonely for Jay, but interacting with Orange and Hangman has been great. For me though, my favorite thing came, and it was such a small moment. Like, I don't even know if I'm overthinking it, but it was such a small moment. The very end of it, when Orange and Renee kind of just exchange a glance, and then Orange just leaves. Like, there was no witty banter at the end of it. There was no usual, Renee Orange chemistry. This was an Orange who he's a little bitter about how everything's playing out.
Yeah, it was not only that, he just also seems defeated before anything even happens, at least for the evening, because I just think he knows that the three of them will not be able to coalesce and become a team in order to defeat the Death Riders later in the night. So it just looks like he's just had enough of this. You know, he just wants to take on Moxley too, by himself too, which is another thing. I think he's really annoyed at that these guys are getting in the way because they want the title and because Hangman feels Hangman feels slighted after Moxley attacked him the other week. Mm-hmm. So, like, Orange is like, I'm here to do a job. It's to take out the Death Riders and get the power back in AEW. And these two jamokes are here running around, ruining it all, and arguing with each other.
What a
So I can see why he has that face on. He doesn't want to deal with any of this bullshit. And I can't say I blame him.
Yeah, me neither.
After that, we had a couple of quick things. We had very brief Darby Allin and Will Ospreay backstage promos. They were very, very quick. I didn't even write down what they said, but they were just hyping up their match for later in the evening. I'm not entirely sure it happened here, but I'm going to put it here because it feels like it was. We had a promo package for returning Kenny Omega, as he will be back at Wrestle Dream in Tokyo in a couple of weeks. James is very excited, as you can see his lower third. So, James, go ahead. The floor is yours.
I think the perfect scenario, because I've been a little more forgiving than a lot of people, but it is really weird that Kenny Omega, AEW star Kenny Omega, is making his first wrestling appearance back at a New Japan show. And granted, it's a New Japan AEW show, but it's a New Japan show. That's a little weird. I think the perfect scenario is Kenny coming back at World's End before flying over to Japan.
I can see that happening.
Like, there's a week in between. It's not like he'd be like breaking his neck to do it. So I think everybody wins in that scenario. But I'm just so happy he's coming back. There have been so many ways we've said it. They've got to restore the feeling. They've got to do this. They've got to do that. Something's missing. I don't know what it is. Kenny, I think, is going to go a long way to making AEW feel like AEW again. And Eric talking here. I think Kenny returns in Japan because he appears as a bigger star there and it will roll over to AEW as opposed to coming back to AEW right away. I suppose Eric's saying he's got to regain that aura. It also saying, to be honest, when he thinks of Kenny, he thinks of New Japan first. I get that. Like, I don't think you're wrong for it. But as much as we all say that John Moxley is the heart and soul of AEW, as much as we say Hangman is the main character of AEW, no matter how you want to associate certain people, to me personally, Kenny has always been AEW. He is the elite in AEW. So
not anymore. They kicked him out.
He's the elite one. He's the one elite. I am so happy that he's back. Rumors are that he's immediately going to feud with Okada. And personally, I think that's the greatest way to bring him back. Have Okada win the Continental Classic. And then as he's celebrating, battle cry. I want it.
Can I say this really quickly about Okada? Maybe it's just because all of his Continental Classic matches have been on Collision. I don't care about him right now.
No, I completely agree.
He hasn't been around, at least on Dynamite, and I just haven't really had the time to watch Collision. Now, his matches looks like they've been great, especially that Fletcher one. And I think the Garcia one looked pretty good, especially went to the time limit draw, so it had to be decent.
Yeah.
So I love Okada, and I want to be excited about him. But after the Bucks bailed, he wasn't doing anything, and now he's just in the tournament, and whatever he's doing is on Collision. So, like, I feel like he's been in such a holding pattern that I don't even know if he's going to win this tournament, just because I don't know what's going on with him.
Numbers-wise, he's in second in his block, behind only Fletcher.
Yeah. Fletcher's 9, I want.
Yeah, Fletcher's 9, Okada's 7, and I think Fletcher has a match ahead of Okada. So I think Okada is going to surpass him. I think he wins it all the way. I think it's going to be an example of the champion retaining through the tournament. I think next year is going to be the year that they crown a new champion in the tournament.
Okay.
Now, granted,
that.
maybe he does lose and Kenny Okada doesn't have a title on it. But like that tweet producer boy pulled up, I'm not going to complain if they put a title on Kenny right away. This tweet, if Kenny Omega is champion soon as he returns to AEW, you won't hear a complaint out of me. 10-4. Put that title on Kenny. But going back to the Japan aspect of this, I don't know if you saw, but the Bucks returned at the most recent New Japan show, the one that was in California.
I knew they were going to be at Wrestle Dream. I didn't know they were at the show in California. They're to support their girl Mercedes Moné, huh?
They were there to support their girl Jungle Girl. Jungle Boy, who they saved and came, this tweet, give Kenny Omega the biggest presentation possible when he comes back to AEW. There should be no excuses about it this time around. I wholeheartedly agree. He has spent so much of his AEW career like on the back burner, putting other people over. Even when he was champion, he was a heel champion who was doing his best to make his opponents look really good.
Yep.
I want the cleaner. I want the best bout machine, Kenny Omega, to the best of his health ability will allow.
I was going to say, we'll see what he looks like when he comes back. But there was that picture of him training recently with, I think it was like Sam Guevara and Ty over there and a couple other people who I'm blanking on. But hopefully he's in good shape.
The Bucks came back and helped Jungle Boy, but Jungle Boy was not happy to see them. He says in his promo after the match, they left and I was tied to a bus. My title was taken from me and they weren't there to help.
Yeah. And plus whatever they told him the last time we saw the Bucks, when they were shredding whatever they were shredding, he knows something that we don't about them. So I imagine that whatever that was is definitely going to distance the two parties.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think we're going to see some monumental story growth, story momentum being made with the Elite, with the Death Riders come end of year, beginning of year. So very excited for Kenny to be back. This comment from Eric, with the company in the position that it's in, Kenny has to take the reins. Between him and MJF, they have to just step up and take control. There's like no space to make stars right now. I mean, there is, but it can't be the main focus. I'm inclined to agree a little bit. I don't think AEW should be focusing on introducing new talent or elevating talent to a higher spot right now. They need the bona fide stars and the bona fide draws to be at the forefront right now. But
yeah, I do take exception to the phrase with the company in the dumps because if you're that, all that tells me is you're not watching the show and just looking at ratings. But I agree. Like, I think that they really need to push some of the biggest names back into the forefront, have them be the main focus because you know, even though I think AEW is fine, they just reworked their contract. Obviously, they're doing okay. You know, it would behoove them to push their biggest stars back into the forefront and try to get some viewers back. As we see Noah here going off the MJF comment, saying MJF needs to end his stuff with Boom Boy. It's still not working for me. We will get to them, but I would have to agree. I'm hoping whatever happens or whatever this is ends at World's End and they'll move on. But we'll see. We shall see. All right, we'll have plenty of time to talk about Kenny as he makes his return. So we go to the first match of the evening, which saw Mercedes Moné face off against Anna Jay for the TBS Championship. I missed a little bit of this because I was making pasta and I didn't want to start a fire. So I heard Anna hit a couple of really big moves. I don't know what they were. Mercedes kicked out, and then she put Mercedes into the ropes, and then Anna threw a couple of kicks, got in the Queenslayer, and Mercedes had to bite Anna's arm in order to get out of it and force the break, which is actually pretty clever. Mercedes then got in the statement maker, and after a quick pin attempt in the middle of it by Anna, Anna was able to get to the rope and force the break of her own. Anna then used the ropes to actually kind of get some leverage and get in a pin attempt on Mercedes, but Mercedes is able to kick out of that. And then as they get up, Moné gets Anna up on her back for a Moné maker attempt, but Anna is able to force her all the way into the corner as Mercedes didn't really get her all the way up. And she shoves Mercedes into the turnbuckles to break the hold. Mercedes was able to quickly recover, though, as she hit a sunset bomb in the corner, followed that up with the double knees before bringing Anna back to the middle of the ring, getting Anna up on her back and hitting the Moné maker for the win. After the match, we briefly saw a shot of Chris Statlander watching the match in the back. James, I said back a lot in that couple of sentences, but this is Mercedes. I'm going to say it again. Mercedes' first match back after her apparent classic over at that New Japan show. I think Meltzer said it might have been the best women's wrestling match on U.S. soil. And I think he threw out the Thunder Rosa Britt Baker one. And what was the other one? I'll think of it in a second. But everyone was complaining he didn't mention Bailey Sasha at TakeOver. Either way, tough match to follow up on. But I thought it was, from what I saw, I thought it was still pretty good. Anna's obviously getting so much better in the ring. She's gotten a lot of experience. Yeah. And I think her stint in New Japan did her really well. And Mercedes was able to help elevate her in this match and make her look really good.
No, I
think.
I would agree with that assessment. Anna has become a much better worker, like you said, since her time in Japan. I think her promos are always going to be a little rough, or at the very least, they still are a little rough. But her ring work has vastly improved. And the fact that Mercedes is familiar with the style Anna is now wrestling, that I don't want to say Joshi style, but like the Japanese influence that Anna has taken into her move set.
Said ban word.
Yeah. Fuck
right.
that.
Owen said it either today or yesterday or something.
Yep.
I have the best moveset in wrestling. He's such a great troll.
I think they flowed. I think they meshed very well. And this is the type of win that Mercedes needed to get a little more of, I think. At this point, Anna Jay is the what's the word I'm looking for here? Not the jobber to the stars, but the stepping stone to the stars. Like, all these champions who want a good match go to Anna. So
yeah, because you can beat Anna and it's not going to kill her, because like you don't want to have Statlander lose another match unless it's like a big title match on pay-per-view, or Willow, who's currently busy and going to be at Wrestle Dream representing AEW in that match. So yeah, Anna is also, she's kind of like in the position that Private Party was in for a while, where they're still positioning her as young and kind of up and coming and trying to find her place in the company. I know she's been there for a while now, and it's kind of like, all right, when are you gonna, do something with her? And up until recently, Private Party was kind of in that position as well. So you could see the improvement, though, and you could see why they're having her go in these matches and lose these competitive title matches, because it is making her a bit more established, I think, because she's winning her other matches. So there'll be a point when she is able to break through that ceiling and become a title holder, but it's just not, it's not there yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. Her time will come.
Yeah.
Her time will come. So
also to follow up, Mercedes' match was against Hazuki. I just wanted to give her a shout out since she also did a great job. And the other match that Meltzer referenced was Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. So I think he means the one in the bubble.
Yeah. What, in the Thunderdome?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. That's what the comments were saying. He didn't really specify. But
ew.
I don't. Maybe it was the. Maybe not that one. Maybe the one where they just came back. Well, no,
I would assume it's the one that Rhea won.
Yeah, probably that one. That one makes more sense. Either way, yeah, you got to mention Sasha versus Bailey.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
A takeover. I know, like, I think it was a tweet. He probably ran out of characters, but come on, Uncle Dave.
You put that over Charlotte Rhea.
Yeah, absolutely. But I hope I want to go and watch this Mercedes match. I heard it's that good.
Yeah, no, I want to see it too.
Go see it. So, maybe I'll take to the seas and find it because I'm not paying for New Japan World.
Don't worry, I am. You could borrow it.
Gracias. See, we're giving things to each other for Christmas. All right. After this, we went to a video sent in by FTR from their home addressing their kidnapping last week by the Death Riders. And obviously, they're pretty upset with Cash saying that the Death Riders attacked them, despite them saying that they had no beef with them outside of them stopping, them dumping bleach down Orange's throat because they're like, yeah, we didn't want people, somebody to get murdered. That would be bad.
They even went as far as to say that they agree with their message that AEW they don't like what AEW has changed into, and that a lot of these guys need to step up or be forced to step up.
Yeah. And, they do have a point. I think playing off of this, with people believing that AEW is in the dumps, which they're not, thing, I can see other wrestlers being like, yeah, I agree. A lot of wrestlers here need a swift kick in the ass. But clearly, I don't think they agree with the way the Death Riders are doing it for the moment. Anyway, Dax then reveals that Doc Samson refuses to clear them until New Year's. So until then, the Death Riders should expect them on their doorstep. And then on January 1st, they'll be back in the middle of the ring, ready to fight the Death Riders. And this time, they won't be coming alone. Wonder who that could be. Can you see?
He's not PG-13. He is not PG-13.
After this, we went to commercial, actually, no, we didn't. I was hoping we did, but we didn't. We went to an MJF in-ring promo as he came out and began by taking some cheap shots at Washington, D.C., where they were having their episode this evening. And shout out to that crowd. They were very good tonight. And they also took some shots at the lowly Washington Wizards, which actually then got a Wizard suck chant going because they fucking suck. Anyway, after that, MJF, who was in a very nice Hanukkah suit, said that he is not a Scrooge as the most important holiday of the year is coming up.
Hold on, pause.
And he said it was Hanukkah.
Pause. You said it was a very nice Hanukkah suit?
Yeah.
That looked awful.
Yeah, that's the point. That's why it's nice, because it's tacky.
Okay, if you say so.
No, it's like an ugly holiday sweater, They make ugly Christmas suits too. Like,
no. And they need to be acknowledged as such.
Yeah, but it's a nice, ugly one.
Fair enough.
Anyway, after he says that Hanukkah is the most important holiday of the year, he then says anybody who doesn't celebrate Hanukkah won't have Santa show up on to their house this year because Santa's not real. Now, this obviously isn't true. I'm right here. But since it is Hanukkah, he's feeling very philanthropic, which he assumes nobody in DC knows what that means. And he wants to talk about a charity he started. So after faking a cry, he has some like Sarah McLachlan music start playing. And he asks you to paint a picture of a small, starving, skinny child in need of nourishment like this one. And he pulls up a photoshopped picture of a very malnourished baby on the screen as he reveals his doctored photo of Adam Cole.
Producer boys, if you could pull that picture up.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I think it's what Producer Boy sees Adam Cole in his head as. And MJF says if you would like to help this malnourished yellow baby, you can scan the QR code on the screen to buy World's End. And as he talks a little more shit, but it wasn't really that good. And then he just, finishes with, I'm better than you, and you know it, and then, or you could thank me later. That's what it is. And as he finishes that up, Adam Cole then appears on the screen, laughing at the fact that it's him up there on the screen this time, and MJF in the ring instead of the reverse, which it has usually been, as we get the picture of the baby.
Awful.
Cole says he talked to Tony Khan, and he will have two men with him when they face each other at World's End who want to keep MJF from getting the Dynamite Diamond ring just as much as he does, and he is joined by Bennett and Taven. Cole goes boom, and then he gets up, but then he stops and turns to Taven and Bennett, and he's like, I feel like I'm forgetting something. And then he remembers, and he turns and he goes, Max, am I kicking your ass yet? And then the video ends, and MJF is really, really confused, but the camera pans, and it revealed that Cole is behind him. As the confused MJF turns around, Cole attacks and starts kicking the shit out of him. MJF comically tries to escape with his dress shoes slipping on the mat, and he gets stuck in the ropes. Honestly, it was some great physical acting from MJF. And Cole drags him and brings him back in the ring and hits him with a super kick.
He came back with that Adam Sandler acting ability.
Yep. After the super kick, Cole lines up for a Panama Sunrise. However, MJF is able to roll out of the ring and escape to the back. James, some of this was a little funny, but MJF, I feel like we've expected so much better from him at this point that while this was funny, I know he could do better. And to, its earlier point, I think we're all also kind of done with the storyline.
Absolutely.
So it's a combination of like, I enjoyed it, but let's go here, people. Come on.
First of all, he should not have been the heel in this story. He should have been the face. Second of all, it's with everything that happened, it's been going on for too long. It's been going on for way, way too long, and people associate it with a downfall in AEW, with a quality decline in AEW. I agree with Eric that I don't blame Tony for this too much, that this is Adam and MJF wanting to end on a good note. But to be fair, it doesn't really matter.
To be
fair. They just need to get through this. We've all been saying it. They just need to go to whatever's next. I don't know if you guys heard that.
Did not. I was very confused.
It's for the best. MJF needs to go on to whatever's coming next, and Adam Cole needs to move on to whatever's coming next. For him, it's probably Kyle O'Reilly and like the Undisputed Kingdom stuff, like dealing with that. MJF, it's literally anything else. But this needs to be done.
Yeah.
And World's End is going to mark a year since the feud started, I guess. Not the overall story, but the feud.
Mm-hmm.
And proper placement, I suppose.
It's got nice symmetry to it, but a year was far too long. And obviously that's because Cole was out for so long where he literally had to get somebody else's ankle put in his foot. But this had been dragged on forever, and we got a little taste of comeuppance when MJF was still face after his return, hit the brain buster in at that pay-per-view when Cole came back.
Yep.
So we all thought or I guess that was MJF came back. I don't remember who came back. Maybe both of them. But either way, like I think everyone probably would have been okay with that. And then we still are doing this, and it's taking forever. Like they should have done this short and had it end at Full Gear, and then everyone could have moved on. But they did the Roddy thing instead. And while I think that's going to go somewhere, because I still think Cole might end up turning heel just because he has been sucking since he's come back as a babyface. I'd like the two of them together. We need it to be over with. We're all tired of it.
Yep.
And hopefully they can end on the high note Producer Boy was talking about this way, where it was like, all right, at least it ended well, but damn, we needed it to be done sooner. So
no, absolutely. It is what it is.
Yep, and unfortunately, Eats is too long. After this, we went backstage to Jamie.
Good question from You Know It. Who's big but hasn't feuded with MJF yet?
Good question.
We never got a proper Swerve MJF feud. It was teased. we had the Kenny match, and quite frankly, I think that's all it needed to be. I don't think there is a real feud there. I'm trying to think who else. Eddie Kingston would be a great one. We've been saying that forever.
I also think when Eddie comes back, he's going to go after Moxley. So
yeah, I think so too.
I also have no idea where he is in his recovery.
I think we still have a way to go.
Yeah, he snapped his leg in half, right? And blew out his knee like all at the same time.
Thanks, Gabe Kid.
Please don't kill him.
If MJF was a face, I would personally love to see him against Christian Cage. Like the promo battles would be fantastic.
I wouldn't even hate a heel versus heel Christian MJF feud.
Who could
let them go in
the other?
Yeah, just let them go in there and be the worst possible people to each other for a month. Give them a pay-per-view match and move on.
Yeah. I'm looking at the roster. Who else he hasn't wrestled that's on a main event stage? Has he wrestled Orange or feuded with Orange?
I don't think he's feuded with him, but I feel like they've had to at least have a match.
Yeah.
But I can't think of like a really direct feud. It's a good question. Swerve, I think, is the answer.
Yeah, I think Swerve is the biggest one you can do. Swerve and Eddie, I think, are the two biggest that you can do.
Yeah, especially those promo battles, I think would be really good. So,
and I know we're a way off from it, and they've feuded, but Darby needs to get his win back eventually, one day.
Yeah, pretty sure MJF has 2 pinfall wins over him because didn't MJF pin him to win the Pillar 4-way with the side headlock takeover? He did it again.
Yeah. Well, no, the side headlock takeover was in a one-on-one match.
I know, but I think he did it again in the
gotcha. Yeah, so, that'd be good.
You know, making a great point about MJF Christian saying no family member would be safe from either.
MJF would make a joke about fucking his mom, and Christian Cage would make a joke about his dad, and full-on family affair. Hangman is also another real option.
Oh yeah, that's true. You know, it's saying also he meant Cage. Oh yeah, Cage versus MJF. Yeah, sorry, I misheard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought you said.
Yes, I did, and I read Swerve at the same time as I read Cage.
Gotcha.
I confused myself. But who'd you just mention? I'm sorry.
Hangman.
Yeah. Oh, he's busy and a heel, but
yeah,
he's also thinks he's a righteous man, so it could work. But I think we'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
But we'll see. That was a good question. Good thought experiment.
You go, you know it.
Whatever's next is probably better than fucking Adam Cole right now, though, let me tell you. All right, let's get this train back on the tracks. And speaking of Christian, he and Nick Wayne teamed up to face Hook and Katsuyori Shibata, who I feel like I hadn't seen in forever, in a tag team match. Hook is still wearing his cast. He didn't really use it too much Cowboy Bob Orton style, but it did come into play when Christian pulled his broken arm over the rope when the ref's back was turned as he was being distracted by Nick Wayne. Let's get towards the end of this match where after the hot tag to Shibata, Shibata comes in and takes out Wayne, hitting a series of chops in the corner before he hesitates in the dropkick and then going into the armbar, forcing Wayne to the bottom rope. Wayne tries to go shot for shot with Shibata after that, which is foolish. So he obviously loses that. And then Christian jumps in and he gets his ass handed to him as well. And he gets knocked out of the ring. Shibata hits the ropes looking probably for the PK or the sliding lariat. But either way, Christian grabs his foot and ruins all of that, leading Hook to come over to try to scare him off. Kip Sabian, who's obviously at ringside along with Mother Wayne, then tries to attack Hook from behind. But Hook catches onto him, knocks him out with the cast before going over to Christian and hitting him with the suplex. Back in the ring, Wayne was able to hit Shibata with a big boot and went up for a Wayne's World. However, Shibata caught him and locked in a sleeper hold. Sabian then jumped up on the apron, so Shibata breaks the hold and hits him with a big boot, knocking him off the apron and into arms of Hook, where Hook gets in a red rum and starts putting Sabian to sleep. Shibata then turns around and hits Wayne with a PK, But as he's doing this, Mother Wayne is up on the apron distracting the ref. So after the PK, Christian is able to sneak into the ring. And before Shibata can follow up on his PK, Christian rakes his eyes and then hits a kill switch. Christian then drapes Wayne over Shibata for the pin, which the referee then counts when Mother Wayne finally gets down from the apron and he starts paying attention again, and the Patriarchy pick up the win. This was a good enough match, James. It was just very filler for me.
Yeah.
No complaints. Did its job. Good job, everyone.
I feel like I was complaining a week or two ago that it's like, oh, I guess Shibata just stopped giving a shit about Hook. So I'm glad that this happened,
Yeah, at least we saw him with Hook again.
Yeah.
And there was a Samoa Joe reference, too.
That's what I was going to say. I'm hoping this leads to Joe coming back very, very soon. The ending is what made this match. The messiness of it, the franticness of it all. Shibata, he still landed that PK on Nick, which was the best part about it.
It knocked Wayne out too. Like they were playing it like he was done. Yeah. And then Christian had to come over and drag his basically lifeless body over onto
the best
Shibata.
part about it was Christian didn't even really properly drag Wayne. So Nick is just sort of flopping himself over, but still selling the fact that he's knocked out. I thought it was great.
He has good instincts.
It's funny because you called this feud or this match filler, when I would argue that the whole feud feels filler.
Yeah.
And that's fine because you know that big things are coming for Christian, but it's going to be weird to see that Hook probably loses the feud, right? Outside of Joe coming back, I feel like he has to lose the feud.
Yeah. Now, I think they mentioned something where Hook is trying to goad Christian into doing something in Hammerstein. I don't know if it was at Ring of Honor or at the collision they're doing there.
Well, Nick Wayne versus Hook is happening at the Hammerstein.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Hook is then still trying to goad Christian, and maybe he's trying to goad him into a match at World's End. And I could see Samoa Joe returning at either of those places. It'd be a really good pop at Hammerstein, but obviously
that's that's the house he helped build.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So maybe that's why I was saying. Maybe that's what I was hearing, or maybe they're trying to do something at Ring of Honor with it.
Yeah, maybe
because then you have Joe come back in Hammerstein for Ring of Honor. I think that would be a pretty big deal.
Yeah,
and still on pay-per-view.
Oh boy.
So hey, you got to pop those ratings.
I'm so disappointed how this is playing out that I'm probably not going to be there for it.
I know, but
that is life.
Yep. It's all right. We got some big things in the works on that Friday, so don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you have no idea.
I have a little bit of an idea. I did hear the backstage.
I am so stressed out right now.
We'll talk about that more later, guys.
Yeah.
No, we'll not talk about it, producer boy. After this, we followed up with a couple of vignettes here. We had Chris Jericho, King of New York one. He was walking around Times Square, just going around the city. I think he did some ice skating over at Rockefeller Center.
I hate this man so much.
Yeah, and he wore a jacket that almost looked like a Yankee jacket, but it was generic. So it was funny. It was just him walking around the city with the title. He made a couple of idiotic jokes about New York, but I thought the stuff he was doing in front of the green screen was funnier. But this is good enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Weird that they just haven't had Cardona on Dynamite, right? They had him do a backstage interview on Dynamite, but everything else has been Collision, I think, and Rampage and Ring of Honor.
Yeah. Well, I mean that makes sense. Maybe there was an agreement he wouldn't show too much up on.
I mean, supposedly they offered him a contract. It's just a question of whether or not he accepted it.
Interesting. All right. Now, was this a contract for? I guess it's kind of both at this point.
Yeah, I think it's AEW. I think it's an AEW contract.
Yeah. All right. Interesting. Well, all right. We'll have to keep an eye out for that. After this, we had a highlight package for the returning Bandito, just, showing him hitting some of his crazy moves throughout matches when he's been in AEW. And then I know this was a commercial, but I did want to briefly talk about it because she's just worth talking about. We had Harley Cameron singing the 12 days of Shop AEW. Harley Cameron has been on a fucking tear recently.
Tony Khan recently did, I think, like a media scrum or a press call, and he was asked about Harley, and he says, talk about someone who has made the most of everything given to her, every opportunity being maximized, and just 1,000%, right? Like, she absolutely has. Whether it's Harley Graham or what was the cat thing she did with Thunder Rosa, she is just diving deep every time. And quite frankly, it's not even like there was a huge improvement ever. In my opinion, like from her first match, she was surprising us with how good.
Yeah. Back when, the whole QTV stuff. Like, she was funny back then. She beat Caster in a rap battle, and the first time we really saw her.
That video she made, that music video she made early on in the QTV stuff was incredible.
Oh, yeah, I even forgot about that. Like, that was good. She's obviously a very good singer. She put out a video on Twitter a couple of days ago.
I saw that.
Her singing Wicked, and I have had enough of that fucking movie. I'm so done with it. I do not care. I'm glad everyone's very happy it came out. Get it out of my life. But I actually watched her sing it because, no, I'm saying it clearly. I actually watched her sing it because she was so good. I was like, how is she going to do with this? And she has a phenomenal voice. She also put out a video announcing that she was doing cameos and did it with a puppet. And
I saw
she's
that.
A phenomenal ventriloquist. Like, what can't this woman do? And she's been busting her ass training for like wrestling. So she's a star, man. She really is.
Yep. I talk about a TBS champion like in the making. Like, I'm not going to go as far as to say world champion anytime soon, but if they were to build her up to take the TBS title off of Mercedes, I would be more than okay with it.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe not Mercedes, but like depending on how much time they want to give her. But yeah, 100% she's getting that title definitely within the year. I would probably guess the next 6 months or so. We're bringing up the point that she was also very good on RJ City's show, which is one of the best things AEW does.
Hey, ew.
Shout out, hey, ew. And we'll talk about RJ in a bit because he had another great showing tonight. But yeah, honestly, she is so insanely talented. Give her all of the things. Yep. We have Takeshka at Takeshka fan over on Twitter agreeing with us. What can Harley Cameron do? She's become one of my favorite things in AEW. And yeah, she was had the guitar singing one of her promos on Collision the other week. I think it was before her match with Mina. So, which apparently was very good.
Yeah.
So like, just continue to give her the stuff. She will continue to make gold out of it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what she does.
Me too.
I mean, she's so good. I'm talking about a fucking commercial. So, which was also, by the way, the commercial itself was hilarious.
Yeah.
Her getting to the 5 T-shirts of Harley Cameron and then going like, "This is not self-promotion," and then ending it with self-promotion was perfect. Like, I don't know if she wrote it or whoever wrote that, but it was just so well done. Just bravo. I love it. All right. Moving along, after we came back from actual commercials, we went to a backstage promo with Mariah May, who is now feuding with Thunder Rosa following her win over Venus Shirakawa. And Mariah asked Thunder why she wanted to become a wrestler, positing that it was to impress her family. Mariah says it's noble but stupid to be a hero, as she's only looked out for herself, and so far it's served her pretty well. Mariah then calls out Thunder for saying that the women's division is alive and well, when Mariah says she's eclipsed everyone just by being her, going as far as to say that if she was there 4 years ago, Thunder wouldn't have even been hired by the company. Mariah then, I guess she like accepted Thunder's challenge for a Tijuana street fight, or was doing it, and she was like, yes, let's have it. Like, either way. But she says she's happy to do it so that Thunder can go on about her heritage and end up bringing her father to the match, something Mariah begs her to do so that she can end 2 generations in one night. Mariah then asks Papa Rose if being a failure runs in the family, before finishing off by saying she won't bring her father to the match because she doesn't want him to see what she's going to do. Something from Humble Wrestling here. Feels like Mariah May been cutting promos backstage her entire title reign. And thank you. This isn't even a wrestler is bad at live promos issue here. She's had a couple of live ones. She did the Champagne Celebration when she first won the title. Or no, I think when she first turned on Tony, she came out and cut that promo. But I can see what you're saying. There have been a lot of backstage stuff with Mariah. But if that's where she's most comfortable, leave her there because she's obviously doing a great job, as we saw here tonight, James.
No, I have been singing the praises of Mariah May for so long now that I'm running out of things to say. She has been better than her booking has shown.
Yeah, even Bully Ray complimenting her, so she must be doing something right. The
world is falling apart. I think she's incredible. I wish the booking was there to highlight her the way she should be highlighted. I just think she's this vicious, vile character. Like, I can't get out of my head Shivani in that first promo after the attack. Shivani, like, she took a moment to pause in her promo, and he goes, "Just spit it out, bitch." And it's like, do you know what you got to do to get Shivani that worked up?
Yeah, and then she called him out on it on commentary a week or two later,
and it's perfect. It's fucking perfect. I love her character. I love her work. I love her ring work, and I'm so happy that we're gonna get into it. Like, this Tony Storm stuff is still feeling so fresh, but I'm gonna be sad when the Mariah May story ends.
Yeah. I mean, obviously she'll be doing other stuff, and I look forward to seeing what that's going to be.
Of course.
But yeah, this feud with Tony has been so good. It's been great. So when it does, then yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to be a little disappointed. Just to check the comments really quick, asking, did I miss her celebration show or something? She had the champagne.
We all did.
No, Mariah. It was at.
It just never happened.
Well, yeah, it was at Full Gear, and then she attempted to take out Mina, and Mina caught her trying to hit her in the back of the head with the champagne bottle. So Mina kicked it out of her hand and then speared her off the stage to a couple of tables. Eric saying if they can push the Mariah May versus New Tony thing at All In, that would be incredible. That would be really far.
No. It wouldn't be All In. It would be if they could do Grand Slam in Australia.
Yeah, I think that's where you're going to end up having it. That makes much more sense. And it's saying amnesia time with Tony. We'll get to that. That was amazing. We will talk about it. I did want to mention that it also said that Harley Cameron and Timeless Tony Storm would have been a blast. I don't think they interacted, which is disappointing. No, they did a little bit. Because when Tony first won the title and she was defending against Saraya and Harley was running with her?
Not yet. It was still Ruby.
All right. I could have swore Timeless Tony Storm fought Saraya. Yeah, maybe it was just regular Tony Storm and
I don't remember.
I feel like they've crossed paths, but they definitely didn't have a match, and they didn't cross paths enough where we were on the floor laughing with each other.
Yeah, I do not like that tweet. I don't know how to describe how much I don't like that tweet.
I fully disagree. And it also saying he meant as a tag team with Tony and Harley together. I would have taken any interaction whatsoever. Tag team would be fun too, but anything to get the two of them together would have been hilarious. After that promo, we went into the ring as Shivani was there to interview Ricochet. So Ricochet comes down.
Oh boy.
Tony asks him about his change in demeanor last time he was in the ring, and Ricochet replies that he's saying it looked pretty good on him. And before Shivani can follow up, the Hurt Syndicate interrupt their interview, coming out to the ring with "We Hurt People" chants going through the crowd to the
They
music.
were getting creative with that chant tonight.
Now, I thought it was in the music. And like I think they say in the music, "We hurt people," but the crowd was following up and chanting it with the music. And then even after the music ended, they were chanting it. So I'm hoping that becomes a thing.
Me too. And quite frankly, Bobby looked so amused.
Yep.
So let it play.
I amuse you like a clown.
Like a clown.
Anyway, Ricochet welcomes the Syndicate into the ring, saying they all look good. You know, everyone's in their suits. And then he starts talking to MVP, asking him some questions. He asked MVP if they saw him beat the brakes off of Commander, and asked if they've seen how he had 6 points in the Continental Classic. And MVP is like, yeah, we have. And then Ricochet mentions how my man Shelton Benjamin also has a match coming up, and he can get 6 points tonight, saying the two of them could even be meeting each other in the future for the C2. Ricochet goes on to say that he still has to face both men in the match later tonight between Darby Allin and Will Ospreay. And when he faces Ospreay, he'll show him a side of Ricochet that he's never seen before. MVP takes all of this in, and he asks Ricochet if he still has his business card. And Ricochet says yes. And as he starts to pull it out, Lashley grabs him by the neck and basically immobilizes Ricochet.
I didn't even think it was by the neck. I thought he grabbed him by like the chin.
Maybe it was up in that area. Honestly, I think Bobby's hand is so big he probably got all of it. Anyway, this immobilizes, as I said, Ricochet, and the card is like sticking up in the air, and MVP takes it out of his hand and rips it up before telling Ricochet that nobody likes a kiss ass. Lashley then releases Ricochet, and MVP shoos him away. So Ricochet rolls out of the ring and heads to the back, saying he'll talk to them later in private, but basically just panicking. MVP then tells Shelton that he's got some work to do and to hurt somebody before heading to the announce desk. Lashley goes to the back, and the Beast Mortos comes out for his C2 match with Shelton. This, James, was great. Bobby, like I said, looked like a monster, especially his hands. But it made Ricochet... I like this. Like, we all thought Ricochet was going to join, but I like the fact that MVP is just like, no, you're being a kiss ass. We don't... Even if you are, you know, coming around, and he kind of talked about this too when he was on commentary during Shelton's match. He's like, even if you're doing stuff like, you know, you're doing it just to appease us, A, and B, you got to go out and hurt people, and he hasn't hurt anybody yet, at least not the way they do it. So I really like this change. I don't want to say it's like a full change of direction, but I like this plot point here as we continue the story between Ricochet and the Hurt Syndicate potentially recruiting him and other people.
It's a fun wrinkle in a storyline that we thought was going to be pretty straightforward. And it's even more interesting when you think about all the cards that MVP has given out already. When he gave those cards out initially, he called them a golden ticket to whoever he gives them to. But he's given one to Lio Rush, and Rush has not benefited from that yet. He's given one to Ricochet, and that was rescinded. Rescinded. Thank you. He gave one to Mercedes Moné, I think, and just no follow-up on that. All that's left is Caster, and quite frankly, he's the only one in this group that I don't want to see take it.
And he also went out like a bitch the other week, so I doubt he's getting in.
Exactly. So I know for a fact Cedric ain't coming over. So is it just going to be these three? I can't imagine. I feel like it's inevitable, but when this started, we were just like, oh, this guy's going to join. This guy's going to join. At one point, you and I were saying Will Hobbs, who has not been on TV, mind you, in weeks.
He had a match somewhere, but yeah, for the most part, yeah, he hasn't really been on TV for a while, or at least on Dynamite.
I'm thoroughly disappointed, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's pretty whack.
But beyond that, I like that this isn't going the predictable way. I like that, and quite frankly, Ricochet could still end up joining. He could say, you know what, I needed to change something. If I wanted this, I got to listen to what they want. If this adds to Ricochet's character, and you do see him maybe sacrifice a win next week, like this Saturday, he's taking on Ospreay.
Yeah.
And maybe he sacrifices that win because he's getting cocky and he's trying to hurt Ospreay.
Well, I mean, interesting note in the Ospreay match, and we'll talk about how, but Ospreay did appear to tweak his knee.
Yep.
Maybe Ricochet goes after that knee and really actually tries to hurt Will, maybe to the point of disqualification.
So I'm really enjoying this. I find Ricochet to be kind of a nerd anyway, so I don't mind him being portrayed as a jabroni.
Oh, you mean Trevor?
We'll
get to that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. I'm all for this. You know I love Bobby. You know I love Shelton. I love the Hurt Syndicate. They look like fucking badasses.
They do.
Just let it rain. Let it run.
If between that and if they can get this "We Hurt People" chant over, they're gonna be. Their presentation is already really cool. Yep. But like if that starts becoming a thing and people are chanting that every week, it's gonna be so fucking cool. Like yes, give them all of the things. As we continued on, we had Shelton Benjamin face off against the Beast Mortos in a Continental Classic Blue League match. So towards the end of the match, after Shelton hits a power slam, Mortos did a sit-up, which was actually pretty cool, and got up and hit Shelton with a headbutt and then a rolling elbow. But Benjamin came back with a super kick and then a series of German suplexes, which the crowd was chanting more, like, "We want more," or "one more time" for, which was great. It usually gives them at least one. Shelton then got Mortos in the corner and hit 2 rising knee strikes before hitting what MVP dubbed on commentary as the hurt fall to get the win and get up to 6 points while Mortos stayed at 0.
I fucking hate this, man.
Oh, that Mortos has 0?
I knew he wasn't going to have a great run in this tournament. I didn't think he'd be 1 away from a naked mile.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, he's been putting on bangers from what I've heard. So, like, at least he's doing well in terms of, like, putting on great matches, but...
All I'm saying is 2 luchadors in this tournament, both of them have 0 points.
Yeah, that's rough, buddy.
Ugh, that sucks.
Yeah, well, Commander probably would have been Juice with 0 points, so maybe it's a little bit better of a sacrifice, but yeah, it does really suck.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'd rather a Commander than Juice, but
yeah,
I'm still not happy here.
You know what's saying the song totally doesn't fit them, but John Mellencamp say hurts so good as their entrance. That's like the exact opposite. Like I feel like somebody should do that and like send it to Matthew at Botchamania. Like that's what that, it feels like a Botchamania ending. Get on that, Cascone. Anyway, after the match, Lashley returned to the ring as MVP leaves commentary to join them, and Lashley sent Mortos into the corner and just kind of beat him up a little bit. MVP then tells Shelton that Mortos needs a little more of what they do. So Shelton, I think, hit him with another suplex, in order to hurt. MVP then called out Daniel Garcia, saying this is what he can look forward to during his match with Shelton on Saturday. Garcia then comes out, says that he isn't stupid and he knows he can't come down to the ring because he's outnumbered. So MVP is like, so coming down here would make you dumb, right? And Garcia is like, it would, but I think the people of DC really want to fight, and I don't care if it makes me dumb. I'm going to come down anyway. And he starts going towards the ring. He then at least then gets some backup in the form of Mark Briscoe as Briscoe comes out, and the two of them hit the ring and start brawling with Shelton and Bobby. This obviously goes poorly.
Right? Like, what the... Man, the numbers aren't on my side, but I don't care. One person comes out. The numbers still aren't on his side. Like, what were they doing here?
I mean, you can say, like, oh, MVP hasn't really been a competitor in AEW. Dude, he's still MVP. He knows what he's
still
doing.
Beating people with that cane.
Yes, as we saw, because Bobby easily took care of Garcia. And while Briscoe was having a little bit better time with Shelton, MVP took the aforementioned cane and broke it over Briscoe's back. allowing Shelton to just end up destroying him. Then Lashley and Benjamin attacked Garcia a little bit more, with Shelton taking the TNT championship and holding it over the down champ. Do you know how happy I am to see it was Shelton who picked up the TNT championship? Because this means two things. One, Bobby is probably going to want to concern himself with the AEW championship when that time arises. I think it's a little busy right now.
Yeah.
And two, yeah, give fucking Shelton the title, man. That's awesome. Let's go. A TNT title, I think, is perfect for him.
Especially with a guy whose finisher is the Exploder Suplex. Give it to me.
Yep.
Give it to me. I'm here for it. I want good things for Shelton all the time. All the times. He deserves the good things. So, yes, I just love this, man. Bobby's a beast. Shelton is like the player. And MVP is involved. He's not just there being a mouthpiece. It's fucking perfect.
Yeah. And then also, too, I feel like Shelton with that title would be good because it's very clear he's going to be the workhorse of this group. And he is a workhorse. And you can, I think, still be, they're not even like, I guess they're heels, but they're cool heels. So everyone's going to cheer for them.
It's the same thing that happened when they were in WWE. They were cool heels and they destroyed Retribution.
Yep.
Like beyond repair, they destroyed Retribution.
Well, that's because Shelton hates Mishin so much.
It was personal.
But my favorite feud in wrestling. But yeah, like Shelton being a workhorse, even if he is a heel, is perfect for that title. He can go out there every week, every other week, whether it's Dynamite, Collision, or Rampage, and defend that title. And it would be perfect for them as he just took on all comers and hurt them. I think that works wonders for the Syndicate.
They do hurt people.
Yeah. So hopefully, obviously, I don't think it'll happen until after the C2, but hopefully, or maybe at World's End, we could see the match at World's End because the C2 will be wrapped up by then. But hopefully, in the near future, we see Shelton going after that title. I don't know if he'll win it because Garcia just got it.
Yeah, I would feel so bad for Garcia. Like,
but I want Shelton with that title.
Yeah, that's my thing. I don't need Danny to have a long run with it. I'd be happy for him if he does, but I don't need him to have a long run with it. But I also don't need him to be one of the quickest TNT champions either.
Yeah.
So somewhere in the middle.
Especially, like, they've put a lot of work into him, too. Especially recently. Like, his match with... I know we lost it, but, like, his match with the MJF and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and he just won the title. He won the title. Like, he... But, you know, don't just kill his momentum by having him lose it to the shiny new thing immediately. But that shiny new thing is really cool and could use a shiny new belt at some point.
He's more of a shiny old thing.
Yeah, but shiny new thing in the company. You know, it's comparing the Hurt Syndicate to like D-Generation X heel, but cool. Yeah, that NWO, like stuff like that. Like, but they're their own version of cool.
But very interesting thing, like you said, in terms of matches to come up out of this. They mentioned the beatdown they were doing on Mortos because they only got away with it because LFI and Roosh weren't there.
Yeah.
You know me. I cannot give a shit about Roosh. I don't have it in me. But Roosh versus Bobby, man,
that'd be a hard hitting match. I mean, Roosh versus Shelton too would be good, but
yeah. Oh, give me. Oh God.
And just that. I don't know if MJF. Oh, no, sorry, not MJF. MVP is going to get in the ring in AEW. I assume he will at some point, but. That's some good old-fashioned gang warfare right there.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that match.
One of the few reasons why I miss Jose the Assistant. MVP versus Jose the Assistant would have been great.
Yeah.
Did you know he's wrestling under a mask now?
I heard he was wrestling. I didn't know it was under a mask. That's funny.
Craziness.
In reference to the tweet Producer Boy had just pulled up, I mean, yeah, Mortos for Shelton for 60 would be great. Because this was a really good match. I know we were talking a lot about what happened after, but this was a good match. It's a good matchup. I mean, it's Shelton and Mortos. How is it going to be bad? I think it got super duper overshadowed by the other Continental Classic match tonight.
I agree. It's unfortunate, but hey, it's an embarrassment of riches for us.
Get this guy off my screen.
Oh God.
I don't care what his opinion is. I know.
Jay Douche from MI, I have to say. Shelton Benjamin takes care of Beast Mortos pretty easily. If Kazuchika Okada wasn't in the same league, I'd say the semifinals in the blue league should be Shelton Benjamin versus Kyle Fletcher. There is no way Daniel Garcia should get past Shelton on Saturday. I think, and it sucks because we want Shelton to win that TNT title.
Yeah.
I think Shelton taking out Garcia gives him a title shot for later on that Garcia wins.
Yeah, I imagine that would be at World's End.
Yeah.
I mean, interesting. It'd be interesting to have those matches so close together, but I mean, I trust the two of them to have.
It happened
in 2 weeks.
It happened in a certain fantasy league, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't my fault.
It was entirely your fault.
How was I supposed to know that you and David were supposed to, end up facing each other back-to-back weeks because of the seeding?
I hope you know what you did to him.
I know. I broke him, and now he's getting drunk on a Wednesday. Hi, David. I hope you're okay. He's just ranting about Kyler Murray in our fantasy chat. It's bad. All right, but nobody cares about your fantasy league. After this, we went backstage to Ricochet, who was there with Renee. And Renee asked Ricochet about what happens before Shelton's match, asking if business is now off the table with the Hurt Syndicate. And Ricochet, kind of stumbles over his answer, on purpose, but also very Ricochet-esque, saying it isn't, but that's not what he is focusing on right now. What he is focusing on is the Continental Classic and his next match, as Will Ospreay is the reason he came to AEW, and because he wanted to show everybody that he can beat Ospreay. Ricochet then made some weird noise or something. Okay. And
he did it last week too, the ha ha kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
I don't. Yeah, it's annoying. it's a Herb thing to do. That's what his character is.
It's a high school. It's a high school thing to do. Yeah. I knew guys in high school who did that, and that's where it feels like Ricochet. He feels like he's giving off. It's funny because he did this to Ospreay. He's giving off little bro energy so hard.
Yeah, he really is. Like I said, it's making him look like a Herb. Anyway, when he turns around to leave, he finds Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana standing there. Swerve last says that when Ricochet first came to AEW, it was only a matter of time before the real the real Trevor showed his face. Swerve thought maybe Ricochet had changed after 14 years of knowing him, but nope, he's still the same old Trevor, and that same old Trevor is a follower. And that is, of course, not going to work here in whose house? Oh, in AEW, especially in whose house?
Swerve's house.
Thank you. Ron's house.
I say, whose house?
Ricochet laughs, saying he was wondering when he was going to hear that, before going on to say that he knows the real Swerve too, and the real Swerve didn't win the Continental Classic last year. So it's going to eat him up when this year Ricochet is able to win, and then he makes his noise again and leaves. And as Ricochet does, Swerve laughs with Nana as saying that's why he's still bald. So, yeah, dude, like I said, I'm going to keep saying because I love this word and I don't use it enough. And it's what he's being right now. Ricochet just looks like a Herb here.
Yeah. No, he does. He does. I'm fine with it. But is this better than what he was doing in WWE?
At least he's doing something, and they're giving him at least a little more character other than just, hey, I'm the guy who's going to have the really big spot in this multi-man match. So I don't know. At least they're doing stuff with him, and he's putting on good matches. But like you said, I think you mentioned this last week. I think we've quickly gotten through the Ricochet is here in AEW and having some banger matches early phase. Now he needs something. He really has to sink his teeth into something. And apparently that is going to be acting like a loser. So,
if he's happy.
Yeah, we'll see what he ends up doing. This might lead to a heel turn. I think it's probably going to. We'll see what happens when he faces off against Ospreay. Because he's going to do something. And I think it's sorely needed because I don't ever recall him being a heel in his entire time in WWE. So it'd be a nice, refreshing change of pace for him, and hopefully allows him to do something different than he's been doing for the past, like, almost feels like 5 years or so.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. He, like, I don't know. I would be happy with this too, considering where I was, but it can't be what he was imagining either, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. And it's saying he needs a good feud now other than Ospreay. And I think he'll get one. It's just, I think Ospreay is more of just the linchpin in what I assume is his pending heel turn. But he'll find somebody else to feud with. Honestly, looks like he's going to feuding with Swerve.
Yeah.
Which I think is going to lead to a bunch of good matches, and we'll see how Swerve kills him.
Yeah. No,
also, sure. Bringing up a good point, it was very interesting that you could not hear Swerve because of the crowd, and he was backstage. I think that was a combination of the mixing was a little off because they wanted the Swerve's house chants to come through during the promo.
Yeah.
But that crowd was that loud. They were very, very loud. But the mixing was definitely off because you can hear Swerve just didn't sound right. So classic AEW sound bungling.
Gotta love it. I gotta be off camera for one moment.
Oh, you're gonna miss the Tony Storm portrait of a rock star.
No, I'm not. I'll wait. I'll wait. Go ahead.
Okay. As mentioned, we then turn to Tony Storm, portrait of a rock star. RJ City is back. And he's there to interview AEW's newest signing, Tony Storm. And she comes in very giddy, introducing herself to him and remarking how cool everything is with all the lights and the setup and everything. So then RJ starts off by asking Tony if she can explain where she's been. And instead of answering as if, she's been away for a couple months, she talks about growing up in Gold Coast, Australia, loving rock music. Sorry, I forgot to turn my charger on for the computer, and now it's not going to die. Hooray, we're safe.
That's why I got to run. I got to grab my charger, too.
Tony loved wrestling, rock music, and the grind of going out on the indies any chance she got, and that's what has led her to AEW. RJ is confused as all hell, and he asked Tony about her history with AEW, and Tony's like, I've seen every episode since the start. I've absolutely loved it, and I'm so excited to be here. RJ then asked her about being the 3-time AEW Women's World Champion, and Tony is like, it's a bit early to be thinking about that, but thanks him for the compliment. So RJ, just completely not knowing what to do, switches tactics and asks her about names like Saraya and Mercedes Moné, whom Tony calls a legend and an icon. And when RJ says Mariah May, Tony
hesitates.
Yeah, she takes a beat and goes, best in the business today. RJ gets really flustered at this point, asking Tony about Timeless Tony Storm. And Tony is like, no, that's not it. You've got it the wrong way around. It's Tony time. And she does like the devil horns and she like teaches RJ how to do it. It's like, you got to do this. And then she's like, this interview was great. Thank you. And she gives RJ a hug. And then like goes up to the camera and does the Tony time thing again and then leaves. And RJ just has no idea what the hell to do. He is left completely stunned. And this was the greatest thing I've ever seen. This Tony Storm character has been great. We saw on Rampage. I think it was. Did she have the match on Rampage or Collision?
Yes, she did.
So she had the match on Rampage. That's right. And she came out, and after the match, she announced that she was officially all elite, and everyone went crazy. And then on Collision, she spent most of the time like reintroducing herself to people. Like she interrupted Thunder Rosa's promo against Mariah May, or like when she was being interviewed by Renee to like come up and introduce herself. It's like, I'm a huge fan. She was cutting another backstage promo, and Mark Briscoe just happened to walk past. She's like, look, that's Mark Briscoe. It's amazing. And Briscoe just stood there dumbfounded. And now we have this from Tony. And like either as I said earlier, she has amnesia, or she is. I heard a lot of people think she's Timeless Tony Storm playing.
Pretending. Yeah, I've
Tony
seen that
Storm,
too.
because in her match, she apparently, I think it was actually against Harley Cameron. That's why I was so confused. She started to do the pose in the corner and then caught herself. So all the theories are good. I have full faith that this is going to end well. This was great. RJ was great. Tony was great. 10 out of 10. No notes.
I will be happy no matter where this goes. Whether it's the amnesia, whether it's the performance, whether it's something else, I am here for it. I am absolutely here for it. I was so concerned about where Tony was going to land post-Timeless. And she's figuring out ways to just constantly reinvent herself.
Even though reinventing herself meant going back to what she was doing.
Yep.
Which is insane.
I saw somebody say that AEW's top 4 signings of all time are Moxley, Bryan, Tony, and Swerve. And I have to agree. Now, that excludes people that were there since day one.
Yeah, so Jericho doesn't count.
Yeah, no Jericho, no Elite, no Darby. I'd agree.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of people to put on that list, and I really can't off the top of my head. Those are your top 4 easily. I mean, I'm sure somebody would try to argue. Maybe, I mean, Mercedes hasn't been there long enough. I understand she's done a lot of great work.
Yeah,
in the company so far, but yeah, she doesn't have the longevity. Saraya and Ruby have been great, but Ruby's been out, and now Saraya's out too, so it's hard to argue either of them. So yeah, maybe. Oh, I guess it's really more Ring of Honor. I was gonna say Athena, but I think that's more Ring of Honor then, because she's been great.
Wait, what specifically?
Like Athena,
yeah.
Like she's been one of Tony Khan's best signings, but she's been doing all of her phenomenal work in Ring of Honor, so I wouldn't really count her as an AEW signing.
No, I'd agree.
So,
it's a shame, but I'd agree.
Yeah, I honestly can't think of anybody. I can't even just think of a 5th one. You know, like it's easily they're the top 4. So
yeah.
You know what saying that the Oscar goes to Toni Storm. She should, honest to God, she should win an Emmy. She should.
Yeah. If there's any wrestler that deserves it, it's her.
Yeah. You know what? Also saying the only thing AEW women's wrestling needs right now is good matches that we get to see. Yeah, it's a fair point.
Yeah.
So they're just not all in picture. And that being said, hey, the women's title match kicked off the show tonight. Kind of.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was the first match.
Yeah.
Definitely got people in.
And Tony Khan gave them the time. Like he gave them a decent amount of time. So they got just as much time as pretty much any opening match.
Yeah.
So good on them. I think my last note on this, James, I know you have to go get your charger, is that I would like the symmetry between this and those original Tony Storm or Timeless Tony Storm vignettes we were getting at the beginning when RJ was interviewing her in the hotel room, similar to this. And she was, in the midst of a breakdown, she figured out she was timeless. I don't know if we're going to end up seeing movies the way we do short films, the way we did with Timeless Tony Storm. But I really appreciate
music video would be funny.
I was just thinking the same thing. But I really appreciate the fact that they're mirroring the way Timeless Tony Storm started now with a reborn Tony Storm having another interview with RJ.
But Nick, AEW doesn't tell stories.
Clearly not.
There's and long-term storytelling, that's crazy.
Yep, that's why their ratings are so bad. They don't tell stories.
That hurt.
The ratings are fine. Everyone needs to.
All right. Here's the thing. I don't care about the ratings because I love the product.
Me neither.
To say though that the ratings are fine isn't fair either. They have been hemorrhaging viewers, and it is concerning. Now, if I were to find out that it has become the most pirated show, then I'll eat my words. But I don't think that's the case. I think we're just sort of living in a world where, unfortunately, a large percentage of the fan base isn't watching.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But I also think too, like, they just re-signed the contract with TNT, or Turner in general. So, and they got the max deal. So they're doing something right that Turner wants to continue to work with them. And Warner Brothers Discovery in general.
For sure.
I also think, and you hear this, wrestling's cyclical. And between them being on the downslope for a little while, AEW got to such a high slope. A lot of people switched back over, and we've talked about this before, just how people only have a certain amount of bandwidth or bandwidth, if you want to call it. And
that's good. That's good.
I stole that from Mike Ryan on Levitar Show. They're just watching WWE right now because that's the better product as opposed to AEW. Sorry, yeah, they're watching WWE instead of AEW, and I get that. I don't really love WWE. I keep up with it. I find watching those shows taxing because I feel like there's just so much crap in the middle, or as opposed to AEW where there's less crap, I guess.
Yeah.
But so, I stay in this lane. But I think, if something happens in WWE where people just start tuning out because, the quality dips for whatever reason, and AEW is doing stuff like this, I think it'll return and everyone will be fine. And it'll just be the cycle. That's how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, hey, fans are already seeming to turn on Cody.
Yeah, Zagaki.
And it's around the same amount of time it took AEW fans to turn on Cody, too.
Yeah. Eric's saying he's worried about the all-in turnout. Apparently, those tickets are flying.
They already have an over $1 million gate. That's huge.
Yeah, and Jerry World is huge.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of standing room in there. You've been to Jerry World, right?
Yeah.
For WrestleMania?
Yeah. Some of the best Mania moments.
Yeah. So you got the Owens versus Stone Cold, right?
Yeah.
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 All right. So yeah, I want to spend like another 80 hours talking about Tony Storm, but I can't.
All right. Do not start. Take another minute because I got to go grab the charger.
Okay. Well, I'll start going over our next match.
No, specifically no. Just rip for a second. I'll be right back.
Will Ospreay versus Darby
Damn
Allin.
it, man.
I'm not. Go. Continental Classic Gold League match. I can't get into it for a second. So let's see. Eric saying that $1 million gate doesn't mean anything if they sell 10 tickets for $100K. I mean, yeah, but obviously they're not. And those tickets are selling. I mean, you can go look it up. It's not disputable. And they'll probably make a lot more. I know Jerry World is huge, but people fill that place out to watch, Jake Paul fight a geriatric Mike Tyson. They'll sell it out for AEW. People want to go there. And yes, maybe Producer Boy, they're being very specific about not saying what ticket sales were, but they're carnies. They're always going to work that. That's how this business has always gone. They've been lying about the attendance for WrestleMania 1 forever. So that's how it's going to be. What he's saying is if you got to eat a crab sandwich, eat the smaller one. Yeah, I guess that's fair. Sandwich. You're trying. Also, yeah, let's do the time warp again is a great reference. I haven't heard that in a while. Let's do the time warp again. All right, I'm going to start breaking down this match because James took too long. So, a few minutes into the match, right before we went to commercial, Darby is absolutely rolling, and he hits a Topa Suicida, and then he set up Ospreay on the apron. Just set him up in the middle ring for a coffin drop. Ospreay then rolled over to the apron, so Darby readjusted up on the top and went for it. And as he does so, Ospreay rolls out of the way, and Darby just slams into the apron, hits the corner, bounces to the floor, and it was just a sickening thud. I will read this tweet from that Producer Boy has pulled up. Hopefully, I don't live to regret it. Tony Khan needs to keep AEW TV to the smallest venues permanently, especially for the switch to Max, where new audiences will find them. Should go without saying, but the live fans reacting strongly directly affects how viewers at home digest the products, at times subconsciously. And I will agree. I think we had a smaller venue tonight. You actually saw how short the ramp was and how close to the ring the entrances were, especially during that Garcia segment when he got the shit kicked out of him. But also, Producer Boy, if you could find Darby doing that coffin drop onto the apron, I would appreciate it. Yeah, it's very stacked roster. That was just all Tony. But I think the smaller venues are going to work better. You're obviously going to take the slight hit on ticket sales just because you're not selling as many seats, but you're probably, or at least you don't have the potential to sell as many seats. But at minimum, You're going to have a much louder crowd like you heard tonight. They were great throughout the night. You're going to have more people there who give a shit.
Wait, no, producer boy, pull that tweet up again. I want to see it again.
And it'll just make the show better. Yes.
What will make the show better?
Smaller venues. I think we saw tonight
absolutely.
that it positively impacted the show.
I know you didn't set me up for that, but it worked wonders for Impact. It worked wonders for TNA to play these small arenas, sell them out, and have a huge reaction there.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's saying that AEW needs to add about 6-8 inches to the apron. I don't really know. Like, I'm not somebody who's so deep in wrestling that I would understand the dimensions of that and how it would be better or worse. And then following that up with, my wife needs me to add 6 inches too. Well played.
That's between you and your doctor.
I believe there's one in New York who can help you out with that. Anyway, later in the match, after rolling through a sky twister that Darby rolled out of the way of, Ospreay, this was the best sequence of the match. Ospreay countered a code red attempt and got Darby back on his feet and then hit a very short hidden blade. Ospreay then got Darby off the Stormbreaker, but Darby countered it and hit a code red, and then Ospreay kicked out at 2, and that all happened in about 5 seconds. It was sick. The two then get into a striking back and forth, which Ospreay gets the advantage in because of his size, up until the point where Darby starts shrugging off all of the chops and then gets a roll-up onto Ospreay that, again, Will has to kick out of. Ospreay then goes for an Aras cutter, and Darby dodges it and hits a second rope coffin drop, forcing Ospreay to kick out once again. Darby then brings Ospreay up to the top rope, but Will is able to escape down to the apron and knocks Darby down onto the turnbuckle. Ospreay then takes Darby and gets him into position for a Styles Clash on the apron, and then he thinks about it and then rotates and then hits it onto the floor. And I thought this killed the Darby. It looks like Will killed the knee as he tweaked his knee in doing so. And Will got back in the ring, and we're looking for the 10 count. But Darby was able to beat it, getting in right before the 10, and he was immediately met with an Oz cutter, and somehow Darby kicked out of it.
It's been a minute, not super long, but it's been a minute since I watched something in a match that got me to like jump up, and this was one of them.
Yeah, I let out an audible. Holy shit, he kicked out.
Yep.
Ospreay then goes for Stormbreaker again, but Darby again counters, and he actually falls into position for a Scorpion Death Drop, hitting that before going up top to hit a Coffin Drop. Darby then went up again and hit another one, pinning Ospreay for the win and getting him the 3 points, bringing him up to 6, tying him with Claudio, Ospreay, and Ricochet at the top of the Gold League table. After the match, the Death Riders music hit, and Claudio came out through the crowd to stare down Darby, because I think they are each other's next match. Oh, yes, they were facing each other on Saturday. And then Claudio is followed by the rest of the Death Riders, as they come out for their main event match. 10 out of 10, instant classic.
No notes.
This was great. Darby died at least 3 times. Somehow, the apron bump is not the craziest thing that happened in this match. The man did a fucking Styles Clash to the outside.
Gonna throw some New Japan history at you. AJ, when he was hitting the Styles Clash in New Japan, there was an incident where he unfortunately injured somebody who didn't take the move correctly.
Yeah, almost, what was his name? James Ellsworth did.
Yeah. And hurt themselves. And then from there, New Japan took that incident and incorporated it to highlight how deadly the Styles Clash is. And AJ was wrestling Tetsuya Naito. And he got him up on the second rope to hit the Styles Clash. And as he's holding Naito up for it, and if you guys are familiar with Naito, you know he's very tranquilo, but he was panicking. He looked terrified. And that was from the second rope to the ring. Imagine this to the floor. Incredible. Incredible. And
Darby's a man. He really is.
Like, Darby looked like a superstar here. I know Producer Boy and I were talking in the comments before about how AEW shouldn't necessarily focus too much on elevating too many people and instead focus on the people that are already elevated. Darby is the exception to the rule. He's already so high up, but a clean win over Will Ospreay is a rare thing in AEW, and he did it while surviving so much. Bravo. This is how you elevate your talent. And good on Will for being such a team player too.
Yeah.
So everybody's killing it right now. This might be my favorite match in the tournament so far.
Oh, by a lot. And granted, I've only seen the ones on Dynamite, but
yeah,
I should probably go back and watch.
I heard Fletcher Mark Briscoe was great as well.
I should have brought that up. Shout out them making Mark Briscoe the guy to beat Fletcher. Absolutely. I loved that. I thought it was such a good move. And especially, too, because the way they did it where Fletcher tried to cheat and Briscoe caught him, and that's why Fletcher lost. I thought that was a brilliant piece of storytelling.
Absolutely. It's funny, for as much as we've dogged on this tournament in comparison to last year, there have been some really good moments, some very strong moments.
Yeah, and I think we were more dogging on it because of the presentation, not the matches themselves.
Yeah,
the matches have been great, and I know they're hyping it up and calling it prestigious and everything. But then, yeah, I know they have been doing the hey, here's what you missed on Collision with these tournament matches, like promo packages. But like you said last week, we didn't even know a couple of those matches were happening on Collision. This week, I think they did a much better job. They must have heard our complaints because they were like, hey, Darby's facing Claudio, and I think Will's facing Rick. Or I don't know when Will's facing Ricochet. I don't know if it's Saturday or next week. But either way, like they were like, hey, this is what's happening on Collision in the tournament. Watch it. It's going to be good. Shelton, I think, has Briscoe or something like that. So much better job by them out of that. I want to go back and talk about that like 5-second sequence they had in the middle there with the sky.
It was so, Producer Boy, if you could pull it up, and I've used him before as an example. It's what separates the Will Ospreays from the Ricochets. The guys who do the flippiness and they just feel like they're doing it to do it, as opposed to a situation here where every movement was earned, every movement made sense, and every movement, even if it wasn't a hit, felt impactful. Just absolute greatness. I don't think Producer Boy is pulling it up, but
I don't think he's there.
Yeah. But just absolute great moment between these two guys. And I gotta say, we always love Darby, but sometimes, I know I do, sometimes I take for granted how good Darby is. Like, he's the guy who throws himself through stuff. He's the fast guy. He does some like hardcore shit. No, the guy could wrestle. The guy could put on just a classic, but he chooses his style, and more respect to him, I guess, right?
Yeah, and I think working with Ospreay, like they're just a match made in heaven. Their styles styles make fights, and theirs mesh together so well. Where it's very rare that Will's the bigger guy in a match, I would think. Yeah. So, or the slower guy for that matter. Yeah. So Will actually, as we say hello to Dev, what's up, dude?
What up, Dev?
To see Will actually try to outpower somebody in a match was very interesting to watch.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it ended up costing him, but it was just a nice change of pace from what I guess what he usually does, because he was still quick enough to do things like hit the Oz cutters out of nowhere and do all his crazy shit. But there was a lot of times Darby just outsped him, like on the Sky Twister attempt. So, and I did like that they were going for the Darby's the new Spike Dudley. You can't break him. That's a good comparison. But I liked. Oh, I completely lost my train of thought. Oh well. Oh, Will kept going. That's okay. Will kept going for the Stormbreaker, and he couldn't get it.
Yeah.
So I like that aspect of it too, and I think Will hasn't used the Stormbreaker as much in AEW. I think part of that is he needs to do it on people he can lift.
Yeah.
And he's been facing a lot of guys, I think, recently that he can't.
Yeah.
But it does kind of protect it to the point where I think it's like at a point now, like if he hits that, no one should probably kick out except on rare occasions. So I think they should build it like that.
Didn't even try the Tiger Driver.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to for a long time.
Nor do I think he should.
Yeah.
But,
that ran its course.
I mean, I want it to be a super finisher for him.
Yep.
But break in case of emergency.
Yeah.
Break glass in case of emergency.
If he ever goes back to facing Fletcher, like I think he'll use it. But
yeah.
You know it in the comments saying Saturday night during college football season doesn't work for me in terms of watching Collision, but the season's over now. I might watch it more. No, the season's not over. We're in the middle of bowl season, which is the most wonderful time of the year. There's just wall-to-wall college football from now, normally through New Year's, but now the playoffs are going to run towards like the end of January, I think, which is amazing. Also, the college football playoff game on Saturday will be right before Collision, which will start right after. So you can watch both and not have to change the channel on TNT.
Look at you, a hero.
Yep, I don't know where I'm going to be. I am off all next week, so
nice.
we'll see what I end up doing. But yes,
you're off all next week to New Year's, right?
I'm off all the way to New Year's. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Does that mean you got to go in for that Thursday and Friday?
Yeah, but I did that.
I mean, it's still better than.
No one's doing anything. It's fine. Yeah. No one in the country is doing anything those Thursday or Friday. Dev saying, I can't wait for the college football games. Yep. Notre Dame, Friday night. Go Irish. All right. Yes, this was a 5-star. If Meltzer gives it anything less, he's a fool. And I want more out of the two of them. This was a sub 20-minute match on a regular TV show. Like, first of all, you did this for free. And second of all, you did this in less than 20 minutes. Imagine they went 30 on pay-per-view. Like, geez.
I was really conflicted coming into tonight because Darby versus Ospreay for the first time in a one-on-one match, I think for the first time ever in any capacity, feels like the type of thing you build up to. But realistically, these are also guys that I don't care that much about seeing in a proper feud. I just want to see them go at it. And quite frankly, that's what is so good about this tournament. And, oh, man, I'm a wrestling fan. We've talked about it. I sound like a broken record. I'm a wrestling fan. Sometimes I just want to see some good old-fashioned wrestling. And I got it tonight. If you guys weren't with us, Danny and I covered Monday Night Raw.
I saw that.
And we watched that 2-hour Raw program. And guess how many matches there were, Rev?
2.
3. Only 3 matches in 2 hours. And let me tell you, they got decent time. They got decent time. They didn't get like, oh my God time. So beautiful to actually just good old fashioned wrestling.
Yeah. Also, let me say this too. From like the Mariah May promo all the way through the end of this was like some of the best 45 minutes in like wrestling on a wrestling TV show I've ever seen.
Yep.
Like it was great. Like because Mariah had a really good promo, and then you did the Ricochet thing, which was I enjoyed. The Shelton match versus Beast Mortos was really good. You did the Ricochet thing again, so you're just getting clowned twice.
Yep.
Then you do Tony Storm, and then this. Oh, the back half of this show hit like crack in the 80s. Yep. It was so good. And we're not even at the end yet. And one last note on this match. I find the storytelling of it really interesting now that Will has lost because of what him and Darby were talking about the other week.
Yes.
Where Darby's like, you need to join this war against the Death Riders. And Will's like, I need to start.
This is done.
Yeah, he's like, I also need to start winning again. And, he's lost back-to-back pay-per-view matches. He's like, that's not something that happens to me. And while this wasn't a pay-per-view match, he lost straight up clean to somebody. So I'm curious to see how this affects Will's psyche. And I'm curious to see if it impacts him wanting to join with Darby because, he now has that L to him. So very interesting to see where the storytelling goes with the two of them as the tournament closes and we see what's up with Will and him joining this war against the Death Riders.
Man, everything's coming together.
Love it when a plan comes together. All right. Following this match, we had our main event, as I teased at the end of my breakdown, where we saw the Death Riders. This time we will have three legal men of Jon Moxley, Pac, and Wheeler Yuta go up against Orange Cassidy, Switchblade, Jay White, and one Hangman, Adam Page. Shortly before we went to commercial, Hangman decided that he was going to take himself out and leave. And he headed to the back and left Orange and Switchblade on their own.
Well, a little bit to note before he left, if that's okay, Rev?
Yes, because I missed it.
He only wanted to get in the ring with Moxley. He got tagged into the match, and Mox tagged out to, I believe it was Yuta. And Hangman tagged himself right back out. He did not care about this match. He only cared about wrestling Moxley.
Yep. Which is what he mentioned earlier at the top of the show.
Yep.
So, anyway, a little bit later, after Orange had a series of DDTs on Mox following a hot tag, he went to line up for the Orange Punch, but Wheeler jumped in to intervene. Wheeler made a couple of nice counters, and hit a suplex, and that led to White coming in, and then everyone just started coming in and trading shots. I think Jay hit a superplex on Pac, and then Mox came back in, and Wheeler, and eventually just ended up with Mox and Orange in the ring again by themselves. Moxley then attempted a Death Rider, which Orange was able to escape from, and he went for the Orange Punch, but Moxley was able to counter with a pretty sweet cutter. Hangman then decided this was his spot, and he came charging back down to the ring, and he took out Moxley before setting up for the Buckshot Lariat. However, Cassidy was able to recover and hit an Orange Punch on Moxley, sending him out of the ring and denying Hangman the chance at hitting him with the buckshot. This obviously enraged Hangman, but he got distracted when Yuta came back in and went after Orange, lining him up for a German suplex. However, Hangman decides that he's going for the buckshot on somebody, and he goes in and he actually lands it on Yuta as Orange is able to escape from Yuta's grasp, leading commentary to question whether he was aiming for Yuta or Orange himself. Pac then sneaks in and goes to blindside Hangman, but Switchblade comes in pretty much out of nowhere and hits him with a blade.
He really did come out of nowhere.
And that takes Pac out. Hangman and Switchblade then start arguing, which distracts Orange as he goes over to them. Moxley uses this opportunity to get back into the ring and get the distraction roll up, the most powerful move in wrestling, keeping Cassidy down for the 3 count and the win, before rolling and getting the hell out of there. Page and White keep arguing, seemingly not even realizing that they have lost, up until the point where Orange comes over, and he's just like, what the hell, guys? You just cost us the win. The trio continue to argue, and then White and Hangman start shoving each other, and then Hangman shoves Orange, and Orange just could not give less of a fuck anymore.
He looks so tired, but not like oh, I'm tired. Like, he's so done.
Yeah, I'm tired, Renee.
I know, bud. I know.
But while this is all happening, the Death Riders are on the outside organizing, and then they surround the ring. And I saw at least Moxley with the chair. I'm not sure if any of the other guys had one.
It was just him with the chair.
Yeah, interesting. So the trio then realizes what the hell is going on, and they're forced to defend each other, going back to back, and then they attack the Death Riders as the group jumps up on the apron. The Death Riders themselves are put on the back foot as Pac, Claudio, and Wheeler are taken out, and then Marina decides discretion is a better part of valor, and she grabs Mox and gets them the hell out of there, leaving the 4-man in the 4-way match at World's End as the last one standing. Although they all were in separate areas, Mox was near the back as he was escaping. I think Orange was up by the apron. White was standing on the announce table, and I think Hangman was just somewhere around the ring.
Yeah.
So this was, I like the storytelling of this match. Really hard to follow Ospreay Allin with the, after putting on that clinic. But honestly,
the irony. The irony that we've been calling for them to main event the show for the last several weeks, they finally do, and they got Rock Hogan.
Pretty much, yeah. But if you're going to do that, I at least appreciate you doing it with some good storytelling leading to this four-way. We can see, I do like that gif. We can see the animosity between these four men, especially between Switchblade and Hangman. Obviously, that's a very long standing feud. Orange, like I said, is just fed up with everybody because he understands what's at stake here, and these two idiots don't, and he's getting tired of it. And you see Mox just waiting there to pick the bones. And granted, it didn't work out tonight, but I have to imagine, James, that is what's going to lead to Mox retaining at World's End. So I thought this was some very good storytelling, not just between what happened at the end, but I also liked the bit, not just the stuff after the match, I liked the bit towards the end of the match where Hangman seemingly went for the buckshot lariat on Orange, even if he didn't hit him with it.
I agree. It's gonna, and I think that's why Mox was so confident in demanding the Fatal 4-Way, that he knew they were going to tear each other down. I'm going to be hella pissed if Orange takes another pin.
Yeah.
It needs to be Hangman. I think White is too hot to do it. Orange can't take another one. And Hangman's obsession leading to him taking the pin is the right way to go.
Yeah. All right, we get it, producer boy. People don't care about the Death Riders.
Fuck these people. I don't give a shit. I loved it. I'm getting what I want. It's not, again, it's like, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, and I think I've said it to you before. Everyone remembers Rock Hogan. But you know what? Jericho Triple H wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It just wasn't Rock Hogan.
Yeah. And I mean, the point, the top tweet, I think it was Humble Wrestling made, like, he didn't care just because it was following Ospreay Darby. I get that sentiment. Like, it's really hard to be like, oh crap, I'm watching another one of these because that one was so good. I just burned out all my energy. But I thought the crowd, was still really into it. And they did a good job of closing out the show here. Now, do you want to flip those? Maybe in retrospect, but I think lining this up the way you did, it makes the most sense to have, the World Heavyweight Championship feud, the last thing being on, especially because I don't know if there's Dynamite next week, right? I don't think there is.
No, there is. They're taping it on Sunday.
Okay, so there is going to be a Dynamite. Spoiler alert, we're not covering it.
Yeah, I would be shocked if I covered it.
I'm not even going to watch.
My goal, they're taping it at the Hammerstein on Sunday.
Oh, so that's what's there on Sunday.
Ideally, maybe if we can find cheap tickets, let's fucking go.
Just go, and then we just record the episode, like when we get back, and then just
God, the professionals we would be. The professionals we would be.
Yeah, we'll see. I might need a day off because I'm off all next week. But yeah, I think I was going to say with it being, the last episode, but I guess it's not. But either way, like, I still think you're doing a really good job. This is the main event scene. It's going to be the main event of your pay-per-view in 11 days or whatever. So I think it's the right thing to put it here, even though it was following up this absolute banger of a match. Now, maybe you can argue that you should have put Will Darby on earlier. This way there could have been a cool down.
Yeah.
But I did really like the flow in from Will and Darby sitting there to Claudio coming out because he's his next opponent, and then the Death Riders following, and then Will and Darby having to get the fuck out of Dodge. Like, I did really enjoy all of that. And I do think with the commercial break, there was enough time for the crowd to get their energy back. And obviously you ended up seeing that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I understand the sentiment Humble Wrestling was making there, but this all flowed fine for me. I have no problem with the placement of anything.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, and it was a good end to the show. You have the four guys who are going to be, in that main event standing tall.
Yeah.
Which you don't always get. Now we'll see what happens on Dynamite, depending on whether or not they're all standing tall. Then maybe it's Mox, maybe the Death Riders get taken out again. Law of opposite momentum, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. This tweet from Danny Don't Miss over on Twitter. Me trying to explain that the Death Riders thing would be more interesting if Pac was the leader and world champion instead of Moxley.
No. I love Pac. I do. No. He wasn't even a great leader in Death Triangle.
Well, he was barely even a leader. Yeah, because he was barely even there.
Yeah.
So interesting. Yeah, interesting idea, but I disagree. He's just the bigger star. And Pac is great in his own right, but Mox is, I think, the bigger star and just seems like a more natural leader for this group.
If they really want to fuck with me, we find out Brian's the leader, and Brian orchestrated the whole thing, make us think that they got rid of him.
That would. Part of me is like, that's brilliant, and the other part of me is like, that's such a stupid Russo swerve.
Welcome to wrestling. No, I agree. It's swerve for the sake of swerving. But
Corey Brennan from Fightful saying Death Riders being bathed in cop lights is a great visual, but poses the question is how are there not multiple arrest warrants for their arrest? Warrants for their arrest. Sorry, too many arrests.
Because filing a police report in wrestling makes you a bitch. That's the real answer.
It makes you the Drake of wrestling. Like, why are you taking this to court, bro? Were you getting the feds involved for?
Great. That was fucking great.
Thank you. But yeah, I did think it looked really, really cool.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of the show as they were walking in. It looked awesome. So good visual there. Good tweet from your man's over at Fightful. But all right, that was Dynamite. And James, saw a lot of people over on Reddit calling this a 10 out of 10 show. I tend to agree. Like I said, I thought it started a little slowly, and I was like, fuck. Because I wasn't sure how much they were going to do, considering their big weekends at Hammerstein coming up, / I wasn't sure what was going on with Christmas. So I was like, are we going to have just a bunch of throwaway stuff so that everyone stays healthy? And it was like a snowball. It's the season. It snowballed, and all of a sudden, you got a giant ball, going down the hill by the end of it. And that last hour was amazing. It really, really was.
Nonstop greatness.
So, yeah, 10 out of 10 show for me.
I'd agree. I think this was a 10 out of 10 for me. Great wrestling, great storylines, great progression, and Kenny tease.
Yeah, that's all you really want.
That's all I needed.
I like the pacing of the show too, and I think that slow start did end up helping it because you said had good progression, and the combination of the two as it just got better and better and better, and then all of a sudden Darby versus Ospreay, and then we're all jumping out of our seats, and then we get the main event, and the main event again, hard to follow that match, but the main event delivered in every way I wanted it to. Even if it was a slight come down, it's still very high up of where they were. So yeah, this was a perfectly set up show. It was, every match was good. I don't think I complain about any of these matches. The promos were good. As you mentioned, the storytelling was good. Perfect episode.
No.
Yeah, no. And that's I think between Winter is Coming last week and now this one, which I think this one was a bit better, but back-to-back really good shows.
Yeah.
And then we have this huge weekend with Hammerstein coming up. I think AEW is going to have a lot of momentum rolling into World's End next Saturday.
I completely agree. Very excited to see where AEW is come 2025.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a lot of hype heading into the new year. Which we probably also won't be covering because I'm not fucking watching Dynamite on New Year's Day either.
I mean, it's more palatable because not everybody does something on New Year's Day, but it's still silly.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I'll probably be on Long Island, so You know it's watching the West Coast feed of Darby Ospreay right now. that is honestly like it's both sickos behavior and perfectly warranted.
Yep.
But yeah, all right. That's it. So I'd like to thank everybody so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. We'd appreciate it if you liked and subscribed here on YouTube. If you liked the video, let's just know that you like what we're doing and we keep it up. And if you subscribe, continue to get all of our episodes. Obviously, AEW is really hyped right now. We're really hyped about it. So we will be back here in some capacity the next couple of weeks to talk about it. We'll see what happens. Maybe we could try to do stuff like the day after, as long as we don't intrude too much on the Gym Pack Zone, to try to talk about it. We'll see how good it is.
The Gym Pack Zone is in a rough place right now this week after all the news.
Yeah,
the Gym Pack Zone has become a bar and drinking all the time.
That's definitely going to be me next week because I'm off. But yeah, we will do our best to cover everything in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, with the holidays, the schedule is going to get a little chaotic. But when we do get things back on track, we are back here on Wednesdays to cover Dynamite. Gym Pack Zone is under construction, but we'll see what happens there. And hopefully we can start covering Mondays a little bit more as James and Danny did this past week. And we'll try to cover some SmackDowns if big things happen and the pay-per-views as well.
The best, like something that's going to be really bad for me, but great for the pod, is when I have my surgery, I'm going to not be able to do anything. So I'm just going to be watching wrestling.
Hopefully you're not too hot up on painkillers to
I mean,
do the show.
It might make some shows better.
You know what? Thank you as always for joining us. We appreciate it. We will see you next week. For everybody, please enjoy your holidays. Have a safe and happy and healthy holidays. No matter what you're celebrating, whether it's Christmas or I think Hanukkah either passed or I think MJF said it was next week, right?
Yeah, I don't think it started yet.
Oh yeah, and MJF said it was next week.
Yeah.
So happy Hanukkah, happy Festivus, happy
Kwanzaa.
Boxing Day, and then happy New Year. But hopefully we'll see you before New Year's. So yes, enjoy all your time off, and yeah. So as we are also going to clearly take time off, you can follow us on all our social media stuff. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok are all in the description below. I need to add the Blue Sky there link. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting. I'll put it in post. But if you search us at Market Down Pod on Blue Sky, you'll find it. It's what was it? marketdownpod.bsky.app or something. .social. There you go.
I definitely believe you.
Yeah, no, like all the extensions, like the standard one on Blue Sky is .bsky.social.
Gotcha.
I don't know. That's just how they set up. But yeah, we're there. For those of you who are watching over on Twitter or Facebook and you want to check us out on some of the other platforms, obviously I just gave you the Blue Sky, but Twitter is at marketdown_pod, Instagram at marketdownpod, YouTube, youtube.com/marketdown3665. James, you have anything before we go?
No, I'm very happy to have had such a good night of wrestling. I'm very happy that we got to enjoy it together. Friday is going to be a big night for the pod, for better or for worse. And we'll see you at House of Glory. If you guys see us there, please say hi. I know that we actually have some viewers there. So definitely say hi to us if you see us, and we're going to have some fun.
Yeah, we'll appreciate it. I know James and Producer Boy are going to be working on some stuff while they are there. So we'll get you more details on that as they become available. But I'm really excited to see how that project works out. And yeah, Friday's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be shit packed. I heard they sold out, but it's definitely going to be a lot of fun. And I get to see the Hardys, I think, for the first time.
Yeah.
So unless they were at Full Gear, not the last one we went to.
Were you there live for Jeff versus Darby?
I don't know. I don't remember. You can ignore Producer Boy in the comments. You can say hi to me and James. You can ignore him, but say hi to me and James. Especially me. I'm not working.
So, I'm fun at work. I bring a positive presence to my workplace.
I'm going to be, hanging out. It's the start of my vacation. So you can come talk to me. I'll chop it up with you.
Matt will be there. Nick M will be there.
Yeah. A lot of podcast guys. So
Papa G will be there.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely come on over, say hi to us, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you guys there. All right. So for James Ashanti and producer boy Eric Asante in the background, my name is Santa Claus. Thank you so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. Once again, enjoy your holidays, everybody, and have a good night. Yep.